Welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast with Heather and John, where we help you with your professional and personal growth, helping you say yes to all the scary stuff. Hey, Heather, how's it going on? How's it going?
It's going good, John. I just love our concept of say yes to the scary stuff because, when we have our client coaching sessions, usually we're talking about just one little aspect of their job or their career or their life that they're just in their own way and they're a little bit scared. And, so it's the perfect topic. And it's something that we're having conversations with every single day with people. So John, I love it. And we're just past our 1-year anniversary. So I'm just going to take this moment to celebrate us. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, I can't believe we're already here. It's been, it's been a little bit longer than a year at this point, but it's interesting when I do this every once in a while. I go back and I look at our first episode, right? Or I look at our first online recording, and it's nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are listening in and wondering, should I start? Does it need to be perfect? Do I need to, if I want to launch a podcast, do I need to go to a studio? Do I need an executive producer? You don't need any of that stuff, right? So just start, right? Have your starting point. Done is better than perfect. That's one of the mantras I used to have when I led teams is done is better than perfect, because you can build on top of done. You can't build on top of perfect because there's nothing there. Right? Done is better than perfect. And then you can always improve and get it going. Right.
Well,
and the team
that's a process that we follow, right? We follow it for our podcast. We follow it for the things that we want to improve on is, we take a measurement every 10 episodes and say, all right, what's one small change that we're going to make for the next 10 episodes, and see how it resonates with our listeners, with our uploads and everything. But that's the same process you can use for anything that you want to get better at. So if you want to learn how to play guitar, guess what? You want to practice with the chords first, and then maybe you'll add on a different tune. Like maybe you'll add on your left hand. I don't play guitar, so I'm saying things that I don't even know what I'm talking about. But isn't that the fun part about it, is that we can actually you follow a process of success in order to learn any new skill, and you just keep adding one small thing onto what you've already learned.
Yeah. No, yeah. Just you build, right? So, people talk about, needing motivation. People talk about, I won't start until I feel motivated. Well, you won't feel motivated unless you start, right? That's, people, it's interesting how people are like, well, once I have the motivation and, once I have the right tools, once I have everything in place, I have the right certifications if they're looking for work. And I'm like, you don't need any of that stuff. What you need is advice from people who have gone through it. And one of the things I know we were going to talk about today was mentorship. Because mentorship is really finding the folks that have done it and then asking them for their insight. Like, listen, I did it with you, right? Years ago, I did it with you. How do I, if I want to get into speaking, if I want to get into leadership, if I want to get into a variety of different fields, things that you were already doing, how do I do that? And here's the trick, right? And I'm not going to call it a trick. Here's a strategy. Let's call it a strategy. But when I sent that first invite out, I asked for 15 minutes.
That's right.
That's it. 15 minutes. I didn't ask for an hour of your time. I didn't ask for half an hour. I asked for 15 minutes. And you said yes, right? Who doesn't have 15 minutes? You wait longer in a coffee line at Starbucks or at Tim Hortons waiting for your coffee than you would in having a conversation. So 15 minutes is, we're going to talk about mentorship today, but one of those ways to get in is just ask for, you should know about the person first too, right? You got to do your research. But asking for that 15-minute conversation, it's yeah, I can do 15 minutes.
Well, and let's just get that a little bit more crisp, John, because I get messages on LinkedIn all the time, and it's like, hey, let's talk about it. But they've sent me their sales pitch, and then they're like, let's book a call. No. This is not the conversation that we're talking about. You actually, and no matter who you're reaching out to, whether you know the person, you know them a little bit, you want to actually, if you really are going to get curious about them and follow their modeling for your success, then that's exactly what you want to say. Hey, I've been and John, your words were, I see that you're really active in social media. I also see the speaking engagements. I attended one of them that you went to here at our workplace. And I'd love to talk to you for 15 minutes and just ask you a few questions about your journey and your career. That's a really easy way to get there. And we started that conversation. You asked that same question again, so you were authentic in, this is what I actually wanted. Imagine if we would have sat down and you would have said, so do you have any jobs in your department, or do you introduce me to the next boss? And I've had that happen where people have sort of played a different role, or I said I wanted this, but I wanted that. So I want to make sure people understand that when you're looking for a mentor, you're asking for them to tell the story of them so that you can say, how could I model that same thing? And then you spend the real 15 minutes. If there's a follow-up that you could do, you ask for it and permission at that moment in time. But you got to create that 15 minutes as valuable time spent with them as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, my introduction to you was your conversation that you had with Steve Wozniak. It was the photo that you had posted of him. And I remember going into your office and you're like, you got to see his business card. It's metal. And so, you need to know a little bit about the person before you actually go in, right? You can't just go online and just pick somebody at random, like, hey, I love what they're doing. Let's have a call with them. It's like, wait a minute, that's not how it works, right?
No.
And the way I think of it is like asking a total stranger for $100 on the street. Hey, can you give me $100? And the person's going to look at you like, what? Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
So I think that might be, if you've tried this method or you think you've tried it and you haven't had success, there's probably just one or two things we want to tweak in your approach or in your in the words that you're writing, if you're writing it via email. And then when you're in front of a mentor, what are you asking? What are the questions you're asking? And then what's the steps you're doing? So John, you're right. You reached out and you said, hey, I saw that you were with Steve Wozniak. I'd love to hear more about that. And you also put some more information there. And so I had a story to tell right away. And it was the story of meeting Steve Wozniak and, how this business card was fantastic. It was titanium or something. It was like heavy as hell. Like we carried around business cards like this, but it was cool. It's quite a relic that I have now. But, we talked about all kinds of things to see where we have synergy. But I asked you what your goals were, and you told me you wanted to be a speaker. And your goal was to do one speech every single day, one video speech every single day. And you're going to do it for 365 days. And I'll tell you, John, at the time, I was like, you go. Like, wow, that is commitment. Like, even I wasn't willing to commit to a speech a day. But you did it. You did it. You stuck with it, and you kept giving me updates on how you were doing. In fact, I started following you. I'm like, oh, look at that. He's doing what he said he was going to do. And that's the key to mentorship is, do you do what you say you're going to do, or are you just trying to be in someone's presence? And I've seen both, and you have to take action. Mentorship is all about taking action.
Yeah. Well, and it's also having integrity with self, right? Like doing what you say you're going to do and then following up, right? Like, so it's been interesting because lately I've been listening to a lot of material and content around, do you really tell yourself the truth? Right. And what they mean by that is, do you, number one, do you do the things you say you're going to do, not just for others, but do you do them for yourself? Right? Do you lie to yourself about getting something done? There's something that I work through, and it's my 6 things I need to do every day in order for today to be a successful day. And if I don't do those things, one of the lines I heard is BMW is the acronym, but it's be my word, right? Be my word to myself. Am I doing the things that I said I would do, right? And especially when it comes to mentorship, if you say you're going to follow up within a week, follow up within a week. Or if you say, I'll give you an update as soon as I have one, then send the update as soon as you have one. Like mentorship, the person on the other side is giving you something that's more valuable than money, and that's their time, right? Like you can always replace money, but you can never replace time. And every time we get or we want to build or create a mentorship type relationship with somebody new, especially somebody, think about like this is really effective inside of organizations, right? Like if you can connect with somebody inside. It's going to do a lot of different things for you outside of building a great relationship with somebody, but it's going to help you build your brand. It's going to help you build your influence inside of the group, inside of the company or the organization or the department. And it's going to take you to levels that you couldn't get to on your own. Because, you know, the one thing every person needs inside of an organization is sponsors and supporters to get to the next level. So, you know, doing the things that you say you were going to do when you got that advice from them, you got to get it done. Like you can't just give it lip service, because I've seen that, right? Like I've had people reach out to me and they're like, hey, I'd love to be mentored by you, especially because I was very active inside of Toastmasters. They're like, we'd like to sit down with you and, you know, I'd love for you to be my mentor. I'm like, okay, great. So we have that first conversation. I'm like, okay, so if you want to take your speaking to the next level, this is what you need to do. And what I'd love to see is a mock-up of your speech, right? Either send me the write-up of it or send me a video of, you know, you presenting it for the first time, so we can continue to build on that. And then as soon as you ask somebody to put in the work, well, guess what happens?
Yes.
Right? It's like,
it's interesting that question, you know, can you be my mentor? It's think about when you're asking that question of someone, you're actually asking them to do something. And if you're not willing to do something first, you know, oftentimes you don't have to say, can you be my mentor? Because when someone asks that I'm going to be their mentor, that means they're asking for a relationship to be built. But I don't even know if there is a relationship to be built, because I don't know if we have synergy or the same values. So that needs to be established first. And that gets established by those initial conversations. What's the story that you want to learn from? What's the experience that I've had that you would like to have in your future as well? And then go do the work. So proving that you go do the work is really important. And, you know, you wonder, what should I follow up on? Follow up on any part of the conversation that resonated with you. You might want to say, you know, when you shared this story, what I took away from that is this, and here's how I'm using it in the next week. That book that you recommended, I've ordered it. It's coming from Amazon. And then 2 weeks later, hey, I've been reading the book and this is what I learned and this is how I implemented it. So the formula is really simple. This is what I learned. This is what I'm doing with it. And any person that is a potential mentor or is going to teach you loves to hear that, because they're not only learning from what you're doing, it's now a give and take relationship as opposed to just a taking relationship. And that's another mistake that I see people making when they're looking for a mentor. John, one other mistake I see people make is they're waiting to be ready for a mentor. What is if you're
what
ready,
does that even look like?
Right. Like, I'll go find that mentor when I get the promotion or when I have practiced this already. No. A mentor knows that you are not at that level yet, but that you're aspiring to be at that level. And because they know that, they have a lot more ability to teach you and shape you. Why would you want to be an expert at something that you're not an expert at today with no help at all? That's the silliest path forward.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%, right? Like it's just, there's so much to explore here, right? Because so here's the thing. So mentor relationship is a relationship, right? So it's one thing to be on one side with a receive, you know, as a mentee, but what are you giving back to your mentor? Right? So yes, you're giving them praise, you're giving them acknowledgement for them for sharing, but what are you giving back to them in terms of value? Right. And I remember one of the things that we would do every 6 weeks is we would have our sit down, right? We would get together. Actually, we would meet early, funny enough, in the morning around 8:30. We would have a coffee and a conversation, and then we would go about our day. But it was an exchange, right? We would, hey, this is what I'm working on. Or I remember when I was going through the NLP course, I would give you feedback on, hey, do you remember this process? And you're like, oh, no, I don't remember. Okay, here, let me walk you through it. Like we would exchange, and that became essentially how we exchanged ideas and how we started exchanging thoughts. And it kind of, I guess this is what led us to where we are today. Because if it wasn't for that, me being serious about it and then sharing it back with you, and then actually in some cases even reminding you about, hey, this is, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, walk me through that again. Listen, it was me giving value back.
And,
right.
And that's the the perfect example, John. So I'd already been certified in the course. I suggested you take it. Now you're the student and you're telling me what you're learning. And I'm then saying, tell me more about that. I want to learn from you. Now you could have decided, well, wait a minute, she already knows all this. She's taken the course. Why would I'm not good at it yet. My confidence isn't high, but you didn't. You said, oh yeah, this is what I'm learning. And let me remind you of it. And whether I remembered or not, it didn't matter. You were actually teaching what you just learned. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle for if you want to get good at something, go teach it to someone else. And you're teaching it to someone who is an expert at that same thing. But I'm an expert in my way, not in your way of learning. So now the two ways are combining together to be even better. So, never shrink away and think, I can't teach someone that's already done something. We are teachers and students at the exact same moment all the time in life. And so if you're thinking, well, this person knows more than me, no, you actually have tons to share in value with them as well, because you see the world through your eyes. I see the world through my eyes. And if we share what that looks like, then we can actually see new possibilities. So please, as a mentor, as a mentee, this is what a relationship should look like at the highest level.
Yeah. And here's the one thing I want to caution you about as well, right? So as you're going out and you're searching for a mentor, you're trying to find somebody who is going to inspire you, motivate you, encourage you, and support you. Find exactly that, right? So I've heard horrible stories of mentees reaching out to people, asking for mentorship, and all those mentors do is talk about how difficult life is, or how things don't always work, and how everything is a struggle. And so you got to ask yourself, is this the mentor that I really want? Right? Because they may look great on the surface, they may look great on social, they may look great on, maybe that very first interaction, a quick 5-minute conversation. But when you go into it, you can tell like something's just not right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it's a mentor meeting, mentor interview, right? Because you're interviewing your mentor just like they're interviewing you, because they're going to ask themselves, is this somebody that I want to spend time with? Is this somebody that I want to impart my knowledge and wisdom on? And if you're not a right fit for them, right? Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes there just isn't alignment in terms of values or just alignment in terms of time. It's okay, right? It's okay for the mentor to say, it's okay for the mentor to say, hey, this isn't going to work, right? And it's okay for the mentee to say, hey, it's okay. I don't really want to pursue this because I'm looking for something slightly different. So
I've seen people chase that and also chase title. So I want this person to be my mentor because they have a certain title and prestige. And, that may not be the right option for you, or that person's title may be so many steps ahead of you that they've forgotten what it was like to be at your moment in time. So, sometimes just picking someone that's just a few steps ahead of us, forget the title, but, do they share the same values is a great measurement of will this relationship be successful? And here's the other crazy thought. You don't have to have one mentor in life. You can actually have a mentor for one part of your business, another mentor for another part. And in fact, the more mentors you have, the more possibilities your brain will see, and you'll see the world through their eyes and be like, there's other ways to do things in the world. I want to follow all of this and can create your own path forward. So one mentor is not you can have more than one.
No, absolutely. Listen, you can have mentors for different areas of your life, right? Like, yes, you can have different mentors inside of your career, inside of a workplace, but even like you can have a mentor for your health, you can have a mentor for your finances, you can have a mentor for your career. Like you can have mentors for like even mentors who are good at like relationships, right? Like I have mentors that I connect with who are fantastic at networking and building connections with people. Right. So, yes, don't just have one mentor, just like you should never have just one coach, right? Like a good coach has a coach, right? Like it's kind of silly to think about, but it's like, but you're at the top of your game. Listen, even the best athletes in the world, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they had coaches.
Yes.
And they were at the top of their game. So, you know,
and here's the thing about coaches. The coaches don't have to be as good as the person that they're coaching. They're actually watching that person and seeing, let's just tweak one little thing to get you to that superstardom level, to that next level of your success. So, you know, like that's a really important mental state, is that you want someone that can see the world through the lens of you being the best version of you, and that they're in it with you to help you get to that next version. But if you're not in that game of being the next best version of you, you don't deserve to have a mentor. It's as simple as that. So if you're thinking, I need a mentor, then you got to be ready to take action. This is the time you're getting on the field and not being a spectator of your own life anymore. So if you're ready to get a mentor, that's what you do. And listen, me and John, we do this for a living. We are mentors, we are coaches. You know, if you are ready to take action, you know, reach out to one of us. We can let you know what a 6-month program looks like with us. And if you want to take it to the next level, this is the way to go.
Yeah, no, listen, and I love it. I love the mentor coaching, and listen, there's a difference between the two as well. So we'll, you know, it's one thing that we can walk you through, and hopefully today we've given you a bit of an insight in terms of what a successful mentor relationship will look like for you. And it can really excel your career. It can excel not just your career, but it can excel your life, right? Like it'll put you on a different path and a different way of doing things. So we're definitely here to support you as you go through your journey. But yeah, no, reach out to us. We'd love to be a part of that and to fill you in on what we can do for you in terms of that.
So
All
yeah,
right.
I think the question is, you know, are you ready for a mentor? And if you are, what part of your life would you like to do something different in? And then make a list of possible mentors that you could reach out to and make that happen. I think that's the call to action for today and this week.
No, I love it. I love it. Keep it simple. Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready for a mentor? So yes. So ask yourself the question, and then if you are, like Heather said, create that list. Right? Create a list of people that you admire, respect, and really want to kind of step into their shoes for a little while. So that's what mentorship's all about. All right. I can't believe we're already at time. So Heather, thank you again. This has been a great episode. And remember, if you're looking for mentorship, you're looking for coaching, don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us, and we can fill you in on some of the programs that we do have available. All right, everybody. Remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Have a great one. Talk to y'all soon. Take care.